The RockSingle podcast is a cross cultural response to the economic and social climate of today's relationship scene. RockSingle will teach you how to maneuver and still be kingdom minded throughout your relationship experiences. Our aim is to help repair the fallen and broken man with a kingdom mindset. The podcast seeks to inspire, enlighten, and highlight upcoming and established local kings and queens of character while promoting Black consciousness and awareness of who we are and to whom we belong. Welcome to another evening of Rock Single and doing our, we're in August of our, hold on, I gotta look up, make sure I'm saying all of these correctly. But we're still doing our first responder series in the Rock True Baywatch, and this evening we'll be talking about SOS, effective communication. So we definitely want to focus on that SOS part, the save our ship. Are we saving our ship, our relationship? Are we saving ourselves? Okay. And the best way to communicate during crises and non-normal or non-calm situations, because a lot of times your response during those moments, because honestly a crisis only lasts a few moments. We tend to get caught up in the emotional after effects of the crisis, and that's what makes it seem like it lasts longer. But all of the most terrible things that happen in a few moments, and then the trauma is what actually goes beyond that point, and that we end up reliving. And in that, it can definitely affect your communication with other people and the people that you are in ships with. So relationships aren't just romantic interactions. They are definitely all of your interactions with other people. Hey, BZ and Z Talk. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. And the importance of communication is definitely paramount in any interaction with anybody, because for the most part, regardless of what some people may claim, nobody is a true mind reader, because perception and your own filters and things is going to change how you interpret what you see, think, hear, feel from other people, and all of that. So it's very imperative that each of us can clearly communicate our own thoughts and feelings to other people, because we want our personal intentions to come across as clearly as possible, because that seems to be like the linchpin and where communication kind of falls apart, is that one person has a certain intention and the other person perceives those intentions as something very different, especially when the actions aren't syncing up with what's being said. So that's a whole nother can of worms right there. But when you are clear and concise and open about what your intentions are, your feelings, your thoughts, your aspirations, all of that stuff, it makes interacting with other people a lot easier. But the hard part about that is that people tend to feel very vulnerable when they communicate in such an open and transparent way. And you know, let's talk about why people are so apprehensive about, being vulnerable and transparent in that way, and even with just their words. Hey, Sheena, good evening. Is your Tay still here? There she
Yeah. I was
is.
like, wait, I'm like, wait, I see me on the side and they say I'm in. Hello, hello, hello.
So what are your thoughts on tonight's topic as we kick it off, we open it up?
I think communication actually is literally like, besides obviously putting God first, is literally the key to whether something will work or not work. Um, And so to answer your question about why people are like apprehensive about being vulnerable, honestly, I wouldn't even say that's their fault because we live in a very judgmental world. You don't want to be, you don't want to expose your stuff. You know what I mean? And you should feel comfortable, especially with certain people. But a lot of people, I think we talked about this on the episode previously, but like, it's like, if they knew this about me, they would probably run. And like I said, we live in a very judgmental world. Your family judges you. You know what I mean? You don't want to judge the people who love you. The people, some stuff you don't want to tell your mama. You know what I mean? Because like, what is she going to think about me? And I think if we were more like God in the sense of like, because when we find out something about somebody, think about it, right? When you find out something real, whatever about somebody, a lot of times when you see them, that's what you think of first. A lot of times we're not even seeing that person anymore. It ain't like, oh, Karen. It's like, oh, Karen that, whatever. Oh, Karen with the, You know what I mean? And so we put these labels on people. You know what I mean? And now they are no longer people. They are that thing. You know what I mean? And God, when he looks at us, what does it tell us? He don't look at me and shake my head like, oh, she a hot mess. He don't look at me and see my sin. But when we look at people, like I said, like, especially when we're talking about major things, like, people who have suffered with addiction and things like it's, oh, whatever, she something. It's, oh, her, the addict. It's him, the abuser. It's him, the whatever. Even when it's not, but oh, he ain't got no job. You know what I mean? It's just so you don't, and it's sad, and especially like it could be something, from somebody's past. And even with that, unlike God, the world does not let us, and so a lot of times it could be 10 years down the line. 10 years down the line. These people could have already done time in prison. They could have already, even if it's not a prison situation, but could have already, dealt with that situation. 10 years, you know what I mean? They're no longer that person. But again, they are constantly having to live in that moment. And like you said, with a crisis, just like a crisis is nothing but a moment. And a moment is literally that, a moment. But literally, when we're talking about people and stuff and their stuff, we don't let us live past that moment. You know what I mean? So I get it. It's not easy to especially like I said, because people were like, they're going to run. She's not going to want to be my friend no more. He's not going to want to date me no more. She's going to think I'm this. So yeah.
And I'm glad you said all of that too, because that is very true. Like, even if you claim you like a non-judgmental person, like in the back of your mind, you be judging people. Like, don't even do that. Like, and that's the thing. Like, a lot of times we kind of mix up judgment and discernment, and it seems like they're the same, but they're not, because judgment is absolute. And we can't absolutely judge anybody, because God already said it, because we don't know anyone's heart. That's why communication is key, because you have to communicate your heart to people, because people can't just see it. They can't just see, that, yeah, you had this problem, but you're working on it. They can't see that. They don't know that. They're not walking with you every day. They're not around. They're not in your head, in your heart. They're not, none of that. So you have to communicate clearly. And communication is not just with your words, it's with your actions, because actions really do speak louder than words. And it's been a couple of studies done on that, like, especially with like kind of the antisocial type personalities, like serial killers, rapists, abusers, and things like that. They tend to score lower on the non-verbal cues. So if an abusive man, or a man who's prone to being a rapist is, approaching a woman, he's not picking up on as many physical cues, like her body language. She's turned away from him. She's got her arms and legs folded. She looks uncomfortable. But to him, she's just sitting there looking cute. So it's a lot of that goes on even on just a regular social scale, like you don't mean this other person any type of harm, but if you're not picking up on this person's body cues, their tonal shifts, even just the tone of their voice can change based on how they're feeling, or whatever the interaction is with you. If you're not picking up on any of this stuff, it's like talking to a brick wall, and then they're going to pick up that you are not connecting with them on a personal enough level to understand them. So sometimes that can shut people down as well. Like, oh, well, I could tell them, but they're not gonna get it. They don't even care about this regular interaction. Why would they care about any deeper feelings or emotions that I would have? And I've actually found myself in a lot of those situations. I'm just like, oh, they wouldn't care. And sometimes we stop ourselves before we even try to openly communicate with that thought. Oh, they wouldn't even care. But that's the communication that needs to happen. If you see that they're not picking up on your general, your general cues, how you're approaching it, your body language, things like that, then just say it. Sometimes it really does come down to that. You kind of just got to say it. And it's okay. Everybody's working on it. We're in this whole, technological world where everybody, doing this all day. But when you're having face-to-face communication, that is how those skills are developed. So if you're not used to talking to people face to face, it's going to be harder for you to pick up those cues. And unfortunately, a lot of our younger generation doesn't really interact with people outside of their peers on a person-to-person basis. So if they're interacting with someone that's older than them or from a different, culture, they might have more difficulty picking up those cues because of cultural differences, age, like all of that plays into what someone is perceiving when they see you. And we have to understand that within ourselves and also for each other, and just make sure our verbal communication is impeccable. So impeccable means, like, when you think impeccable, you think of ain't nobody dope as we. I'm just so fresh up, so fresh and so clean. So that's how your words need to be. They need to be so fresh and so clean, like to the T. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Otherwise, when anything is misconstrued or misunderstood, it is absolutely your fault. It is. Even if that person wasn't listening, if they did, it's still your fault. Because if you know this person isn't listening, get their attention first. Wait for them to give them your attention, to give you their attention before you try and say, well, I told you. But if you knew they weren't paying attention, you didn't tell them nothing. You took advantage of the fact that they weren't paying attention to try and sneak some in there and be like, well, I did my part. No.
Or
no.
Like you weren't paying enough either. Like you said, you did what you just try to slip it in there, like, and you knew they wasn't paying attention, or you weren't paying enough attention to notice that they're not paying attention. So it's funny because when I found out our topic was communication, I was like, well, let me look up some scriptures. And what you just said. So so it says under James 1:19, understand this, my dear brothers and sisters, you must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. A lot of times, and I'm so guilty, a person not even done talking yet, and I'm answering. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I want to respond.
That.
Yeah, and it's like, slow down. Be quick to listen, slow to speak. Wait your turn. You know what I mean? And then Proverbs 18:13. Spouting off before listening to the facts is both shameful and foolish. So a lot of times, because I heard a part of what you said, I got to answer now. And it's like, okay, I heard a part of what you said. You were not done. Whatever you said after that could have completely changed. You know what I mean? But I already got my feelings and my response. And it's like, so I just, and like it says, and now I look foolish. Because it's like, wait, you didn't even let me finish. If you'd have let me finish what I was going to say after that, and then you're like,
You would have noticed that we were agreeing. I just wanted to
right. Or right.
Exactly. Yeah. That happens, like I said, that happens to me all the time. Like, and then, if I'm using someone else's point to make a different point, it's not even counter to what they're saying. They automatically assume it's counter to what they're saying because it's not the same thing that they're saying. I'm like, I actually didn't disagree with you. I'm making a completely separate point and just using yours as given information. That's it.
Yeah, and piggyback off of what I said, and then what you said after my initial comment about like why people are like not comfortable with being open, but I want to encourage us to take the risk, take the risk of you know ex- telling your sharing your heart, like you said, listen, at one point this is what I was. And the right person, the right people are going to give you an opportunity to, like you said, see your heart. You know what I mean? And for those who be like, oh, nah, I can't do that, then don't take it as a loss. Don't take, those people weren't for you. They weren't for you. You know what I mean? Because what they're doing is they prejudge you. Because it's funny, being in therapy and even like some of the worst stuff, like you said, the murderers, the rapists, the things like that. It's funny because we talk about things like that and we talk about people like that. And she said something that like I never thought of about it this way. She was like, a lot of those people, and we're not justifying, before I say this, we're not justifying. She was like, but I've worked with juvenile sex offenders. I've worked with sex offenders. She's like, and
They've been hurt too.
they are really amazing people. She said, that is just a part of who they are. She said that's not who they are. She said it's a part of who they are. And that part can be corrected. But we hear things and it's like, stay away, stay away, stay away, stay away. And I was like, I never even thought that. I never, because you would just, it's like, he's a murderer. He's a rapist. Heck, she's a rapist. She's a murderer. So it's like, stay away, stay away. And like, but like she said, she was like, that's not who they are. That's just one person. Even me, something, okay, not bad. Okay, I am a mom, but isn't that just one part of who I am? I am a daughter, but that is not the completeness of me. I am a sister, but I'm not just a sister. You
Right.
know what I mean? So just obviously in wisdom and discernment and things like that, but just automatically writing people are, I think about some of the things I used to be. And so what, I've never been a murderer, thank God. So what, I've never been a whatever, thank God. But I've been some things. And so I think about how I have changed. And the reality situation is everybody's capable of changing. Because like,
Yes.
that boy never changed. It's been that boy, his body, he ain't never gonna change. First of all,
You got breath in your body, there's time to change.
thank you. He could be 96 and a quarter, okay? And he could
Better late than
start
never.
changing. Thank you. But
Maybe it
we
took
again,
96 years of lessons to finally get him to the
yes,
first
yes,
test. Who
yes.
knows?
And
That's why
so
you need
like
to
I
focus on your own cheat.
stop, yeah. And so like I'm really trying to be really more like God. And I'm talking about like not just, living, but like even how like I see people. Because even with that, like I think about, like I said, some of the things I used to be. And I think about people who knew me then. And like they see me now. And until, who knows? To some people, it's like, oh, she's this and she that. And it's like, and we want to be like, no, let me show you. I don't have a smart mouth no more. I don't have a bad attitude anymore. Now I'm this, now I'm that. Let me show you. But, how would I feel? Somebody was like, nah, I don't even care. I'm not even, I don't care what you claim to be now. I'm gonna just keep rocking with what I think, what I knew you were. And it's like handling people how I would want to be handled. You know what I mean? And again, I never forget God was like, when we say things like he's never gonna change, she's never gonna change. And of course we know that change is a choice. But what we are really saying is, because we got to understand, what is this all about? We were all created in God's image. What was his original intent for us? So if somebody, no matter what they are right now today, even the murderers, even the this, even the whatever they are, they were created by God. So that means that they were created in his image. Okay. So that means that he had an original, he still has a plan for them. Our decisions, you know what I mean? And the version that we choose to be are counter to what he intends us to be, and our lives don't look like what he intended. But doesn't that mean that that doesn't take away the original intent that he has for them? So when I say things like he's never going to, or no, there's no hope for him. So what I'm saying is, didn't Jesus die on the cross for everybody? It didn't say except for the rapist, except for the murderer, except for the whatever. So when I say things like, and again, yes, we know it's a choice, but when I say things like he's hopeless, she's hopeless, what I'm seeing is, oh, pretty much I'm insulting God. I'm not insulting that person, because what I'm seeing is not the blood, not this.
That a word, right?
That's too big for the blood. Jesus,
that's somebody judge people, girl. You better watch out. They're gonna throw some rocks.
Yeah, and it's like, again, like, I am literally seeing that they are above the blood of Jesus. Their stuff, the blood of Jesus, nah, it ain't. It's. And even one time he had me think about, he created us all, and so, like, think about it. And so our kids are small, so we haven't experienced this yet, but we probably heard it before. Like, you talk about somebody's kid, and it don't care that he is a thief. Listen, don't talk about my child. You know what I mean? Yeah, he is. But, you know what I mean? We don't people don't appreciate it. Like, no, don't talk about my kid, because it's like, yeah, he is this, but that's mine. So think about it. And I remember God was like, and that's the same way I feel, because irregardless of what they are still my child. You know what I mean? Even illegitimate. Like I said, he created all of us. So keep your mouth off of other people. The same way you would be offended if somebody was running around talking about your kids. Those
are the main ones ready to fight. The same ones that's talking mess and trash about everybody else and their kids. They the first ones ready to fight as soon as that same poison gets spit right back at them. It's like,
child, don't we love the quote, people need to mind their business till we want to mind somebody's business? Now it just goes out. When it's us, I don't know why people don't just know learn to mind their business. Don't we know that every time we talk about someone else, what are you doing? You're minding someone else's business. Is it you? Is it any of concern? No. Then you are minding someone else's business. But like I said, when it's us, people just mind their business. Shouldn't we all? And it's funny because I do it. Like you said, even if you're not a judgmental person, even if it's like the first, like, when I first see it, it's like it might pop in my head, even if I shake it off. But the reality situation is, like I said, the first glance, that thing in my head first.
And sometimes I gotta catch myself and apologize. Like if I didn't what, my bad.
Yeah.
Go ahead. And that's what I just call, and I just shut it down. You got it. And that's usually what I end up replacing all the rest of whatever I was gonna say with. You got it, because it ain't none of my business. That's what I wrote. I heard this ain't even none of your business. You about to stress yourself out about somebody else's business. Mind your business. Don't worry, you got it. Go ahead.
Yes. Because the bad situation is, whether we want to admit it or not, we all got enough stuff to work on within ourselves for us to be pointing out. And I ain't gonna lie, just Sunday, I had a 5-minute conversation about granted, and then I was like, oh, well, I ain't say no names. She don't know him. She don't know who I'm talking about. But it was just like, and it wasn't even like a bad thing. But I was like, it was like how people have haters. They think they have haters. And it's like,
all it takes is the one person that's always talking about their haters. Oh, you talking about like, dang, girl.
Do you really? Or like, but I ain't gonna lie. So like 5 minutes, I was like, 5 minutes, I was like, and it wasn't even like toward them, but it was just like pretty much, but it still was pointing out that thing that they do. Like every time he jump on Facebook, he talking about this person don't like him and haters this, and I'm like, and this is like, how like, do you have any proof that they don't like you? But still, that was me minding somebody else's business. Like, and even though I didn't say nothing bad, but it was still like, and so it's like I started seeing this part, and I don't get it. Ain't because God didn't answer, but like I fail some days. But I'm like, I'll be like, God, if I feel like I have to speak about something that I see or hear somebody else doing, if I have to say something about it, let it be to you in a prayer and not to somebody else. You know what I mean?
Or to the person. Because that's where correction lies. In when you say your thoughts, your perception, because maybe they don't even know that people are viewing them like this. People always have their own movie going in their own head, and of course they the star of the show, and the star, out here, So the supporting characters are just there to make the star look better at whatever role that they're in. So until one of the supporting characters say, "Hey, you messed up all of them lines, like none of that's in the script. And they be like, "What you mean? I'm the star. I'm like, no, you're not even a director. You're not the director or the producer. So no, no, like you messing up the movie, bro."
Yeah, yeah. So what you just said. So she's absolutely right. Or let us say it to the person. And it's funny. So one day on Rock Youth, I forget what we it was probably about pretty much the same thing, like talking, speaking of other people and like minding our business. And it was like, you know, and if we gonna say it, then say it to them. And
That's the
I
only
was
way
like,
it's not gossip. If the person it's about is not involved, then it's gossip. I don't care how true it is. You can have receipts, you can have text message, screenshot, all gossip. If they are not there to even say, because you can't, like I said, you don't know their heart. You don't even know their intention for why they reacted to any of what was going on. They probably got something going on that none of y'all are privy to, because people have their own lives. and they keep a lot of that stuff private.
So it's so funny you said that. So a couple months ago, I had a conversation. It's just so funny how you got to keep correcting yourself. Same thing. And it's a process. And so it's beautiful because it's like you're growing and you get a little better, you get a little better, you get a little better. But you're like, ooh, because it's so funny. Months ago, I had a conversation about exactly what you just said. And it was like, I came to the conclusion. I was like, you know what? Because a lot of times we'd be like, well, it wasn't like I'll say it like, but I ain't exposed who the person was. I didn't say, but it was like, if they are not present and you are speaking of them, like you said, it's gossip. It doesn't, right. I don't care what you're saying.
But you know what? If you do that, if you are looking for a better way to communicate your feelings and perceptions and things to this person, you can seek counsel. It's all up through Proverbs. Wise people seek counsel. So you can definitely seek counsel, but your intention needs to be to go and talk to that person directly.
Yeah. If you just
may not have the word, ask for help. You can definitely phone a friend on that one.
Exactly.
But don't just sit up and talk about it and be like, oh, okay, I feel better. I didn't say all the nasty stuff I wanted to say to them without them getting mad at me. No, don't do that.
Yeah. And so it's funny. So like you said, either I need to say it to them. And I remember on Rock Youth, I was like, and if you don't know me well enough to say it to me, or vice versa, if I don't know that person well enough to say it to them, then I should be saying it. Period. I really shouldn't be saying it because I don't even know you like that. Or you don't know me like that. So that's even something more to think about. Like you said, either be saying it to them, you know what I mean? Or again, if you can't go to them and say it, because then that really shouldn't be saying it. So,
that's what I always ask myself first before I bring stuff to people and all of that, and be all up in their space and business and all that. Is this my business? If I have this conversation with this person, how will anything in my life that I have going on that I am responsible for be improved? Hey, Native Princess Danye. Good evening. Thanks for tuning in. And if I can't think of anything positive coming out of me having that conversation with that person, I leave it. Because, I mean, like, sometimes you can have a conversation with somebody and it's like water off a duck's back. They don't care. It doesn't make them feel any better about whatever the situation was. They don't have any new perspective or new growth or new lesson to learn. And a lot of times that happens because we step out of our place. Like, we step out of place and we go again. Because a lot of times, like, God had already told me, like, nah, this ain't for you. I already got somebody for that. This ain't you.
This not your assignment. Not your assignment. Not this one.
And that's what Pick Your Battles is about. Like, you really have to think about the long-term outcome of that interaction. Is this going to better our connection? That's the first question, because you're directly interacting with that person. So that should be your first intent when you're interacting with anybody, is bettering, strengthening, improving a connection in a positive way, because that's the webs of the network. So however you interact with that person is going to affect how they talk about you to other people. Oh yeah, I met this girl. Oh yeah, I was just talking with her about that. Oh yeah, you should go and talk to her because she making a lot of sense. But if y'all have a bad interaction, even if they don't even have to say nothing bad about you. Just the way they react when someone says your name to them, just how they react. They don't have to say a word.
They face just might change. They body, yeah. Exactly.
And people are like,
And
oh, I was
right.
gonna ask her to do this thing that I needed that might help move forward what she got going. But I mean, since you seem kind of iffy about, I'm gonna go with who I already know.
Yeah. And again, it's all about. So it's so funny. So me and Mary, we were at the beach on Thursday, and so I don't know what he would be considered. He was on a bike, so I'm gonna say he was security, beach security. But he had just came. I'm talking about like 20-second interaction. He pulled up in front of us. He was like, something to the effect of like, "Good evening, ladies. I just wanted to let you guys know that the beach is closing in 10 minutes. And if your car is still here, they'll tow it or go get a ticket or something like that." And he drove off. He rolled off on the joint. And we were just like, wow. Because like just that 20 seconds, it was just like, and he didn't say anything. Like literally, he told us the beach was closing. And so we like went to have our car out of there and, get on out of there. But just the way he said it, you could like kind of get a glimpse of like what type of person was. And so it made us start having a conversation about how we present ourselves, not just to the people, but just period. So like he gave us a very it made us think good things about him. And we don't know that man. We don't know nothing about that man, but just I don't know. It was just weird. But like we said, like how he came and he presented himself. And so what's funny is so then it made us start talking about how like once upon a time was like, I don't care what people think about they buy. And a lot of times that's when you're young.
I be like,
they don't like the way I am, young guy be around me, whatever. Like, and so should we care about, I don't care what people think about me. Should we care about people to the point where like it's affecting your self-esteem and things like that? No. But I absolutely do care about what people think about me. I don't want to, like I said, have somebody say my name and it causes somebody, I don't care anybody or get a bad feeling about me. You know what I mean? Because we had a bad encounter. Like I literally want to leave people with like, goodness and kindness and love. And you know what I mean? I don't want people like when they hear my name or when they think about me. So I'm like, no, I do care about what people think about me. You know what I mean? I do care about how I make people feel because a lot of times
you care about how you think about yourself.
Yeah, and that's right. Because I'm like, I don't want
reflection of that. How you feel about how people view you is really how you feel about how you view yourself. So if you're okay with being nasty and rude to people, you're probably just as bad to yourself. In your mind, whether you in the mirror, oh, I look good. In the back of your mind, you're not saying none of that stuff. You don't actually believe that. You don't. I'm gonna tell you that now. You're like, oh, no, not me. I'm the exception. Nope, nobody's the exception to that. Guess why? Because your subconscious mind does not care. It does not know the difference between you actually feeling like that and you just saying it. Okay, so when you say, oh yeah, I look good, but then when you get apprehensive about going into a room full of people, that shows that you don't actually believe that, because the first thing you're thinking about is, well, what they gonna think about what I'm wearing, or I got to make sure I look like this and look like that, because then they not gonna receive me or what. No,
if you already know, it's like I know. So you're ready to go into the room. Oh my gosh, I don't want to lie, but somebody had said something to the effect of like, oh, I seen it on Instagram, and they were seeing how like, if you thought it was cute enough to post, be confident, don't delete it. So pretty much what they were saying, like sometimes, I guess like
a weird activity too. I think I might delete this, huh?
And so like she said, she was like, if you were confident enough to post it, but what happens, like you said, obviously afterwards she gets thinking, oh, it's not that cute, it's not whatever, she's going back
and present a whole nother persona. And it's like, no, if y'all, I'm telling y'all this now, if y'all go on my social media, okay, mind you, Octavia, Doc Ock did not exist. All right, Octavia was a whole nother person. She was single and did not have kids. All right, so the person you see now is a mother. So you're going to see a whole different type of social media because I'm a mom. That is a big difference to me. All right. And I'm not deleting none of what I did before because that is still a part of me. That is exactly what brought me to the point that I'm in now, to the mindset I'm in now, to what I want to build and the foundation I want to build for my daughter. Had I not gone through any of that, had I not done any of that, I wouldn't have any idea of what to teach her. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't have a clue. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Okay. Like, yes, I had a bomb mom and she taught me a whole bunch of stuff and I love her for that. But every person is different. My daughter is different from me. So I can't raise her exactly the same way I was raised. But I have an idea of how to move with her and shape her personality in a way that she can grow and flourish and not restrict her and like, oh, well, because I did this, I'm gonna stop her from doing this. Like, no, I can't stop her from doing a thing. Because I'm pretty sure it's a whole lot of stuff I did my mama wished I didn't do. And that's of the things that she knows about. So I'm not trying to stress myself out like that because you still minding somebody else's business. Yeah, you raising or you're you are an obligatory guardian of that child, mostly because of their ignorance of the world, like of regular stuff, like not putting forks in light sockets and stuff. So that type of thing. But you don't tell them what their purpose is because you don't know. You don't know. You don't tell them what you got to know that you don't know. You don't know because God having his own conversation with them and you are not privy to any of that. So all you are there for is another tool in their toolbox, another voice of counsel so that you can help them become wiser. That is it. The minute you start holding on too tight, that's when the gray hairs come, the stress and wrinkles and all of that. And then you end up having this strained relationship. They start keeping stuff from you and all of that. And you're like, well, why couldn't you tell me? Because you were judgmental. You were trying to pull on power that was not yours.
Yeah. And we are stewards of them. We are stewards over them. We do not, they are God's first. Yes, they are our children, thankfully. But we are stewards over them. We are to, like you said, fill them with wisdom, fill them with love, prepare them to the best of our ability. But all that, at what point is it parenting and what point is it control? So absolutely, we are not talking about no, we're not going to do that. That is not throw that all the way in the trash. No. But all that, like a lot of times, I'll just use sports. You're gonna play basketball, you're gonna play football. Your daddy was or I was football, your granddaddy was football, all your uncles, you gonna be a football player. That baby might not want to play football, you know what I mean? But you keep signing him up. Now he's in high school, and granted, he's awesome, but just not like you said. That's not might not be what he wants to do. Like you said, God's having his own conversation with them. You know what I mean? But we're making them, and like I've never experienced it, but like a lot of times on TV on the shows, you'll see like even the kid will go to the parent and be like, well, I would like to be an artist. An artist. You crazy? You got all these people coming to watch you play football. You talking about being an artist? Like,
or even perpetuating the same oppressive, systematic mentality. Oh, people like us don't get to do that. Huh? Stop that right now. Please stop lying to your children. That is a bold-faced lie. That's it. Because that's why you don't have to worry about the system keeping you down or none of that, because you have already embedded that mentality in your own mind. There is not one policy that's been passed, not one president that's ever been in office that stopped me from doing a thing at all. Ever.
That's the thing. And so like, that just made me think about like not being funny, but like, that's why I don't want to say I don't care, but I don't get too much into like, I vote. And that's all I do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about
it's my right and I want to exercise it. You don't use it.
Whoever is president does not, thankfully, they don't control me. Yes, the laws and things like that, but I can honestly say, like, I control my home. I control my children. I control my life. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to be like, and if he get in there, we're gonna be what? We're gonna be dudes, huh? Even when, who was it? Thank God that, I mean, we're not, but I, I mean,
You know what?
okay,
He
my life.
actually is the reason why I even ended up in that mindset, because I was devastated. I ain't gonna lie. When they came through and they said he was I was devastated. I was linked over on the couch crying, and then of course SNL came on, so I was watching it. I wasn't even really watching the news, like, because I was Dave Chappelle was hosting Saturday Night Live for the elect. Like, of course I'm watching that. So like he helped me feel better about it all. But then as life went on, it was just like, and I stopped watching the news. So I didn't see anything that they said about him. I didn't hear nothing about none of his policies or all the stuff he ripped up from whatever Obama had did and all of that. Like I was in a bubble. And that's literally how your life works. Everybody's life happens in a bubble. They say, "Oh, you don't live in a bubble." You actually do. You do. Wherever your attention goes, that's where your energy flows. So if your attention is away from stuff, that's outside your bubble. Ta-da! Bubble life. Okay. So I realized that, and I haven't had any issues with none of the stuff, like none of this, like the pandemic stuff. Like, okay, throw a mask on to go out. Okay, yay. Now I don't have to smell other people's stinky breath. Stay 6 feet away. Ooh, now I ain't gotta feel like you're trying to dig in my pocket. Yay. Like, it's all about perception. Like, I love my space. Yes, I like to interact with people, but I love my space at the same time. Like, this is a win. Do you know how many places that are no longer crowded that I wanted to be in, that I can now be in without people crowding me? And I ain't gonna lie, white people, I love y'all, but sometimes y'all be a little rude. Like, especially in crowded situations, they definitely push past you and bump you without saying excuse me. Now, don't feel bad. They do this to literally everybody. It's not just because because I'm black or what. No, they are rude to everyone. And I've seen them get into arguments with each other over the same stuff. And I'm like, but you just did that to the other person. Like, this, I sit and I observe people. This is why I love watching people, because you get a broader sense of stuff. And it's not just about race or about culture or about, where you're from and all of that. This is literally a human thing, because trust me, black people do that same rude stuff. Why you think people getting shot up in clubs for stepping on somebody's shoes? It's not because they stepped on the shoe. It's because of the way they acted after they stepped on that person's shoe. They acted like they didn't owe that person any type of, recompense. Like, oh, my bad, I didn't see you, I'm in a hurt, or what? Nothing. They didn't even bother to acknowledge that they have transgressed on this person in any type of way, that they have made this person feel like they don't matter and their space doesn't matter and is neglected, all of that stuff. Like, the way you make other people feel matters. And that's what humanity really needs to learn. And that's what the communication is about. Yes, you might have a lot on your mind, but so does the next person. We all got brains up here. We all are living our own life. So you can't be like, oh, well, my problems are bigger than yours. They are not. Because I don't care about your problems. I only care about mine. And that is the thing. When oh, well, I got this going on. And then y'all end up, well, I can understand that because I just went through that the other day. Oh, you see, now you didn't mess around and made a connection that you probably wouldn't have otherwise made had you not been vulnerable, open, and communicative. You see how that works?
So, it is so, wow. This could like go on forever. So it makes me think, like, literally, like, just in so many different situations, a lot of things would have turned out differently. Where if we're talking about violence, when we're talking about lives being lost, people being killed, people getting into arguments, people getting into fist fights, people even walking out on their job, things like that. We make emotional decisions, and a lot of times, a lot of things, we're not saying all, but I'm going to say most. I feel safe with saying most things could have been stopped had a simple conversation taken place. My cousin had wrote a status like one day last week, and it was like, before you hold a grudge, hold a conversation. I was like, but
Ooh.
he was like, because a lot of times it's just a misunderstanding. And so when you think about it, that is really so true. I'm not gonna lie. In my younger days, I'm 38, so I'm talking about like my early 20s, maybe even teenager. I like, you get in a fist fight, and like after y'all fight, then y'all have a conversation. It'd be like, oh, because I thought you. They're like, no. Oh, well, I thought, and it's like, no, and it's like, dang, no, we don't punch on each other for nothing.
And then
It's
that's
like,
why people be looking at y'all while y'all like y'all crazy afterwards, because now y'all best friends. Now y'all inseparable. Now y'all fighting with each other, fighting other people. Now y'all arm in arm fighting other. They like, weren't y'all
disgraceful, disgraceful, disgraceful. Okay, but
didn't even
yes,
need that
it's
friction
like,
in the first place?
we could have skipped the ignorant part. Literally the ignorant part. Inaction and lack of not. All we have to do was have a conversation, find out some things, but we was ignorant. Just a lot. Even in families, you have sisters, and I'm so grateful that, like, do you argue and do you disagree? Yeah, but I'm so thankful that I have a wonderful relationship with my siblings. But you got sisters. I ain't talked to her in 5 years, and I'm like, huh? And it's like, well, what happened? What happened? Like,
They
and
don't
it's like,
answer the phone, so I stopped calling.
yeah, and it's, yeah, but what? So lack of so if they answered the phone, y'all would be talking, but there's no communication. So it's just like, or it blows my mind, or like, something happens, and again, a lot of times it's a misunderstanding, and it'd be like, well, you made me feel this way, and don't
Oh, that's the one.
feelings,
You made me fit, boy.
and okay. Even Jesus says he cares about how we feel, cares care enough. He says we're going to experience emotion and all those things. So we're not saying that we don't care about your feelings and they are not valid. But for you to just let your feelings be facts and be the final say, a lot of times, again, it will just be like, oh, you made me feel. And a lot of times it'd be like, you know what? Um, my intention was not to make you feel offended, to not make you feel like you were stupid, to not make you feel like you whatever. And
But
so
you don't
I
have to show it
apologize.
for nobody else's feelings. Look, stop apologizing for how somebody else feels. That's not your problem. You apologize for your unclear communication or representation of your intent and what you actually set out to do. You have no control over how anybody feels, because you could have ended up doing exactly what you intended to do and completed, and you on cloud nine, and here they come crying like, what's the problem? Like, oh well, when you did that, I don't know what to tell you, because I did exactly what I set out to do, and I said exactly. I have drafts. I trust me. I went over this, so you got the final draft, and if you didn't like it, you ain't my editor.
Yeah. And see, well, we're just thinking
Stop taking
we're just,
responsibility for other people's.
it's safe to say that you are probably a very effective communicator. That's not everybody's story.
I
So
know, and I have to be compassionate about that too. Like I've really had to catch myself in a lot of situations. I'm like, dang, like, oh, that might not be. So that's why I ask a lot of questions, because I'm like, oh, are you sure this? Well, this is what and so this is how you communicate. You say, is this what you're saying? And if they say yes, okay, well, I'm understanding it like this. And so when they say, "Oh, well, that's not what I'm trying to convey," and it's like, "Oh, okay, well, we can work through this, okay? So I can understand what you're trying to put out there." So when they, that's why it's called communication. Is something that's done together, okay? So
right. Where do you do what takes place? Talking and listening from both parties. No, if you don't have a response, then that's fine. But it's funny. So Pastor Ron Carpenter, he pretty much the same thing that you said. He suggests, he was like, anytime, because a lot of times, like, hey, I want to go talk to Susan and have this conversation. So he would like to make sure that, like you said, you got your point across and they got your point the way that you intended. He said, after you have the conversation, after you say whatever you wanted to say, he said, ask them, do you understand what I'm saying? And that way they will say, oh yeah, whatever, whatever. And you would say either yay or no, and correct them like, no, well, and so boom, you know what I mean? But like he said, he was like asking questions to make sure that your point was taken correctly, the way that you intended it to come across, and that they got it, because like you said, a lot of times we don't be listening. We don't be listening.
Oh, that one, the listening to respond, not to understand. Oh, that's
So I'm not gonna lie.
People type like that too. I'm like, you had to read what I typed in order to type back, and you still didn't get none of what I just said.
No, because I'm not gonna lie, guilty, and I promise, because I don't want to be like that, because yeah, I don't. Because then it's not fair either. It's not fair. Not just that I want to, but when I think about it, it's not fair. So yeah, but I'm not gonna lie. A lot, it's like you read that one thing, and it's like, oh, okay.
Right. It's that what the trigger. That's what it is. People stop.
The trigger.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, communication is not, it's not an emotional thing. And the minute it becomes an emotional thing, it is no longer communication.
Yep.
So here we go. This isn't, that dictionary. So the second definition, because the first one says something, I don't do definitions that has the word in the definite. That's not a definition to me. I don't know why they have this on here. But the second one says the imparting or interchange of thoughts, opinions, or information by speech, writing, or signs. There's no emotion there. It doesn't say the transmission of emotion. And none of these definitions even bring up emotion. The something imparted, interchanged, or transmitted. So I guess emotion can be something, but I guess it depends on the context of the conversation. A document or message imparting news, views, information, etc. Passage or an opportunity or means of passage between places. So this is an exchange. So if someone is exhibiting emotions that you're not trying to take on, that's usually where the problems come in. If you are having a calm conversation with someone and they get upset and you're not trying to be upset, you're not going to listen to nothing they're saying now. Once they're upset, they are no longer listening to anything you have to say.
No.
I can tell you that.
Their focus is on, I'm sad, I'm whatever. Like, even if they wanted to, they can't be listening anymore, because their focus is no longer on what you are saying, but now what is going on in their body. Think about it. Whether it's joy, whether it's sadness, go on in our body when we're feeling things. So now you are focused on what's going on in your body. Your mind is in your feelings. Your mind is not in the conversation anymore.
Nope. Once people are triggered, I just had a female co-host block me because of a communication mishap. Look, man, look. But I'm so glad that you brought up the body, because your brain is a fickle thing. And yes, we are higher thinking beings and things like that. However, we are still driven by our primal response in our survival. So the amygdala is this little spot in your brain that has a whole lot to do with your emotions, like anger, sadness, like the big general emotions, not like the little intricate like deceit or just like, those little things. No, like the bigger things like anger, sadness, happiness, joy, grief, those types of things. And so when you are triggered, your amygdala is activated, and then your amygdala ends up sending signals to your primal brain, and it can trigger a stress response. So a stress response ends up being the fight or flight. So that's where those emotions kind of start, and then that's why no one is listening. Once their emotions are triggered, they are no longer listening because they are in a stress response. And unfortunately, especially in Western society, we do not handle stress well because we are constantly stressed. We are in constant stress mode. So we don't have like that kind of baseline where we're just like chill and then it's like, okay, you're triggered. So it's like you're just up here now. No, you're already operating right here for the most part. You might have residual cortisol from something, road rage, your phone not working, somebody sending you a stupid text message, you scrolling. What you scroll and look at, even if it's not directed at you, that still affects you. And it does still trigger a stress response that you may not be aware of because you're so used to it. So if you're constantly operating at this median level of stress and then you're having a stressful conversation, even just thinking about this conversation is stressing you out. And then now you have to be in anticipation of what this person is going to say to you. Like now you have all these fears come like, dang, are they going to say that it's over? Are they going to say they don't like me? Are they going to say that maybe they found out that I said this behind their back? Or like you going through all this stuff in your head that has not even happened. So you are triggering your own stress response with unrealistic reality. So that's the thing. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what is actually happening to you and what you think is happening to you. So once you're triggered, your subconscious mind thinks you're being attacked. You might feel emotionally attacked or feel like you're like, people get that defensive thing like, oh, well, what you trying to say? I'm not trying to say anything. I am like, I have literally had to talk to people like this because it's just weird to me. And they be like, what you trying to say? Like, what do you mean? I just said it. I didn't try to say anything. I just like, what do you need clarified? And then they like, oh, you think I'm stupid now? I didn't say that, but I mean, you might end up removing some doubt. Go ahead. Like, and I really like, this is the unevolved, like what do you recommend as a stress reliever? A lot of stuff, like people, time to yourself. That's like the biggest one. I would definitely say like time to yourself in nature, the nice, quiet, the birds chirping, the what, like I'm telling you, I don't care how you feel about nature. Trust me, nothing got nothing on it. Okay. And then there's adaptogens I talked about on one of the cooking shows. So ginger is a good one, turmeric, ashwagandha. It's a couple of other ones. You can Google a list of them. If you're on medication, double check interactions first, because those things tend to interact with certain medications, especially like blood thinners and like heart medications and stuff like that. So watch that. But yeah. And just in the whole, that situation, I really had to catch myself because I'm usually the calmer person. Because I'm a super like frontal, like I'm dissecting stuff and observe, and like I'm like literally I'm taking notes of everything. Oh, okay. And then so I really had to like catch myself because I can get real sarcastic. That's my emotional response. Because now it's like, okay, now you triggering me because now I feel like you're not listening to me. And that's like the core of communication. Like the other person wants to be and feel heard. Otherwise, I have no reason to talk to you. I talk to myself all the time in my head, sorting stuff out. I don't need you for any of the conversations I have going on in here. I can beginning to end by myself. All right. I'm including you because I care about what you have to say, because I want to know your perspective, because I can't have your perspective. I don't live in your body, know your experiences or see through your eyes. So I need your perspective. I need your perspective because I can't create it. I can create a whole bunch of different in my own mind, but it's still clothed and covered in me. All right. All of my experience, what I have seen, if I haven't seen it, I can't pretend it's there. Like, oh, okay, yeah. But I can't believe, oh yeah, that could really happen because I have never seen it actually happen. But someone who's seen it actually happen, they can impart knowledge on me that I didn't have. Like, yeah, I was in something like that and it felt like this. It kind of, oh, well, what did it smell like? Oh, well, what did it taste like? Like, I can't imagine a taste if I've never tasted something. I can't think about a smell if I've never smelled it. So you need other people's perspectives, all right? They'll be like, oh, I don't need nobody. Yes, you do. Stop lying to yourself. That's the biggest lie I ever told. I don't need nobody. Stop it. Cut it out.
Please don't. Oh, no. Oh, God. And
SOS. Ask for help.
Oh, and even just in, first of all, let's be clear. God did not design us to do life alone. So you go ahead. I don't care if you're a man or a woman, young or old. I don't need anybody. I can do the Bible. God tells you, okay, two is better than one. So
You don't need anybody to be whole.
there's no way to
More
live.
than just one, you do.
There's just
See how
no and so even down to like, and I get that we live in a world that if you're by yourself and you're doing it by yourself, you look super. But you look super. How do you feel?
that's why I love
Okay.
all of these superhero shows, because even I don't care who it is, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Batman, Superman, they all have a team. They all have other people that's in their ear that they talking to, that's doing something. These people are never alone, and they have all these extra powers and stuff that regular people not doing, but they still need other people. Like
And
that.
who wants to, like, and I don't care who you are, even the loner. Yes, there are, depending what type of personality you have, there are some people who like, don't like crowds, would prefer to be by themselves. No, but who really wants to be by yourself all the time?
No.
All your life. At some point, that's just gonna be like real unpleasant.
If
It
people
might be cool for a while.
they would go
You know,
crazy.
listen, you can. It's probably somewhere I know. I read it before. They were even saying like, being by yourself I don't want to lie, how after so many long, it causes things like depression. They were seeing how like when you don't leave your house, when you don't go out, they was like literally it starts doing things to you physically. So all that I don't like people. Okay, you're going to mess around and hurt yourself. You're going to mess around and hurt yourself. And real quick for my closing, so you just was all in my business, right? When you was like, how somebody, no, it's not even funny because like, no lie, I have had situations where like, say my boss, I used to drive a transit bus. So, when I first come in, like I gotta get right there out to get my route started. So he like be like, when you pull in this afternoon, come to my office because I want to talk to you. I lie to you not. It could be 8:30, right? I don't pull until 5 o'clock. From 8:30 to 5 o'clock, I done got fired. Somebody reported me. I know I didn't do nothing
Okay, you
though.
just left your idea in the last bus you drove or something.
I am so, and I'm telling you, and even as a believer and knowing to not worry and not be anxious, I lie to you not. All those hours, I am thinking about how I'm getting fired. I'm already looking for another job in my head. Well, you know what? That's all right because you know what? I'm looking, like I said, I'm not even, I'm so serious. Like I said, I'm looking for a job because I got fired. I wonder what customer. Well, I hope that lady with the bag. I know it wasn't her. Was it the guy that I had yesterday that got off at Wegmans? Like, and I like create all these different scenarios in my head, and literally, so now I'm stressed. Now I'm unemployed. I am anxious. I probably done had 3 anxiety attacks. My heart is legit, and so like, and so when I think about it, those are all things that I did to myself before I got to the conversation. And needless to say, I never been fired, thank God. It's never close to, and so why? And so like, and this is like, I try to be very intentional, but like about reading like books about the mind, and my therapist sends me a lot of cool stuff, and like Joyce Meyer, like things that people who are like really focused on like your thinking, I really like rock with them because like my mind, whew, we all need a renewed mind, but I'm telling you, some of ours mine is like really, really, and so it's so funny because I'm like, why don't I ever think about I could be getting a raise, I could be getting a promotion, somebody could have called in and gave you a compliment, but I never ever go to that. It's always something bad, and I cause myself this stress and anxiety. And like I said, I get into the office and I'm like, now I'm really, because it's like the moment, and I'm like bracing myself. And it's never been nothing bad, thank God. And so you wasted 7.5 hours causing yourself your body, your mind, your organs and all types. You know what I mean? You did that. And I never forget Pastor Ron Carpenter, he was like, what is fear? And he gave the acronym false evidence appearing real. Yep. So in my mind, it was very real to the point where my body felt something.
Yeah.
And he was like 90%, like all those scenarios that we make up in our head before we get to the conversation. Like you said, and like you said, the relationship, let somebody be like, oh, you know, later on when you get a chance, I want to talk to you. Like you said, they're breaking up with me. They don't like me anymore. You know what I mean? Again, all negative. And so it's just so funny. Like, and like he said, 90%, like it was like 90-something% of the time. He was like, it's never anything even close to what we thought. And so I'm really trying to work on that, because it's like, that's not okay. Like, do you a favor. Anxiety is not fun. You know, it's nothing or something else is giving it, but you want to give it to yourself? Like, no, if anything, you know, God forbid, even if you are getting, like, why wait till you get there? Wait till you get there to see. Stop jumping to your own conclusions. Get bad or good.
I don't know.
Work. I want what you're there. You know,
my regional manager showed up to fire me. I was like, oh, he must be here for something else. Knowing I was about to get. I'm like, oh, what you doing here? Oh, you came to help? Good, because we had a packed store that day too. I was not thinking about that man being there. He was like, yeah, so yeah, we gotta let you go. I was like, oh. Yeah. But that was a wonderful closing. Definitely false evidence appearing real. Don't do it to yourself. All right. And just in closing, and just a little kind of preview into, like, this really ties into our topic for next week, which is life support. This is, you know, definitely getting your communication together. Like the SOS, that's a call for help. A call for help. Okay, you have to ask for help to get it. So if you know that you struggle with how you communicate, with communicating what you're feeling, even just understanding what you're feeling well enough to communicate it, because that's where it starts, within yourself. So if you're having trouble communicating it, it's probably not just the filter that you're pushing that stuff out through. It's probably also your perception of yourself. So sometimes you got to ask for help. Like, I love that you bring up your therapist. Like, you ask for help. That's asking for help. Okay. There are people who are professionally trained to do that. And then there are people who aren't, that are just, you know, there for you in your life, your family, your friends. Sometimes just the random stranger you talking to sitting on the bus stop. I done got plenty good life advice from somebody I don't even know and ain't never seen again. So don't be afraid to communicate, to reach out to people, to you know, if you can find space. Like there's a support group for everything. Literally everything. I read more now than ever. Yes. And pick up a book. Okay. Read a book. Okay. Like it's answers everywhere. Why? Because God created it to be so. All right. Ask and you shall receive. Okay. You ask the question, you're going to get an answer. If you don't ask the question, you won't ever get the answer. So if you don't know, ask. It's okay. Everybody's ignorant to something at some point in life. You got to start somewhere. So you can't be like, oh, well, I don't want to look stupid. You already do. Trust me, you already do. And you look even dumber because you walk around trying to act like you know something when other people that know you don't know. Because I've seen a lot of people do that. And they just like, oh, okay, well, you know, I'm gonna just say this and it's because it sounds smart. But when you around a lot of people that just really don't know, they can't correct you. But the minute you get around somebody that can correct you, you're going to be triggered. Why? Because you knew you didn't know. You knew there was some holes in that knowledge, and you didn't seek the stuff to fill it in. Your fault.
And see, I'm not really somebody who pretends, but like you said, I'll be like, I don't want to ask because I don't want to, because then it's like, and now I'm admitting like I don't know, especially when you're in a room full of people who know.
Okay.
But it's like,
And they came there to be the expert. So I'm gonna see how much
what?
of an expert y'all are. So what's up with the okay, and why that do that? All right. So if I
No,
push
or
this
even like
button,
in a conversation, like if somebody says a word I don't know, it's like, oh, I don't know what that means. I'm just have to keep talking because like, it might make you feel like, well, dang, they all smart or whatever. And so, but
don't
it's
do
like,
that. 'Cause
no, but
sometimes
like
they don't even know what it means.
it's cool because it's like, all right, well, if you ask the question, now you're going to know what you don't know. But if you keep, so like, I really want to know what the word means, but I'm ashamed. But I'm like, no, but it's going to be cool because like now you're going to know what the word means. Heck, now you can use it. You know what I mean? So yeah, like just, I think a lot of being more open to communicating and getting out of my head.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and even like listening to you, like I talked about like, prejudging what's going to happen and trying to predict. But I'm going to say like when we first started talking about, exposing ourselves and whether it be past or it could be present, because especially people who are, this is RockSingle. If you are desiring to get married, guess what? Y'all out here talking about Boaz. I mean, you might, like you might not get, or Prince Charmer, whoever you want to say, okay? Like you, 9 times out of 10, because you're going to have some stuff. Yes, you're going to be healed, Lord willing. Yes, you're going to be whole. But even then, are you going to be perfect? No, because it doesn't exist and neither is he. So, I'm going to encourage people, like, instead of like, no, I don't want to say that because that's going to cause them, because what we're doing is now you're not giving me a chance. You're
Boom.
not giving me a fair chance
Because I be
to,
feeling offended. Like, you would really think that I react like that to something like that?
yeah, like, and don't get
Think
me
about
wrong,
me.
are big, and I just not too long ago had that, and it's like I get that. I get, again, going back to my initial comment, what we're used to, because I get it, but I want you to understand that I say this very humbly. Give me the benefit of the doubt and know that I'm not thankful, because I had this new mind. Now I think differently. You know what I mean? So don't ever be ashamed. And even if it is something that, I feel like whatever, I would never expose your stuff. I would never expose you. I would never belittle you. I would never, you know what I mean? So just giving people the chance. And obviously don't just like, oh, I'm gonna just tell everybody. But no, you know what I mean? When you're building a relationship, a part of that is you seeing that, okay, because we be so worried about, oh, trusting them and trusting them. Like, I want you to know that you can trust me. I want you to know you can trust me with your stuff. And even if it's something that we can't work through, I would still never expose your stuff. I would never belittle you. I would never, whatever. So just getting out of the fear of you already thinking you know what somebody's going to think about you. Because you could be cheating yourself.
And
Could be cheating
oh,
because you never
there it
know.
is.
You never know. And then, so you could withhold this information, and now the person finds out. And it's like, wow, now you have lied by omission. And so now, no, you're not a liar, but you withheld this. And it's like, well, because I thought that you or whatever, I thought you wouldn't accept me. And it's like, but because you didn't give me a chance, now we have a problem.
Yeah. And that's really what it's
So,
about. Taking
and so
away my opportunity to show you who I am. And you've also infringed on my free will, my freedom to choose. Like, now I feel deceived and manipulated.
Yeah.
Even if that wasn't your intention, that's absolutely the circumstances that you've created.
Intention. And I wholeheartedly believe that that was not your intention. But that's why we have to get out of self. And see, when we think about being self-centered, we think about, oh, somebody who's really into themselves. No, you getting out of yourself, because in that circumstance, you're like, how would this affect me? And what are they going to think about me and me? And so unintentionally, you disregard the situation that you are now creating. You have taken me out of this because you are afraid, and I get your fear, but you are so afraid of what I'm going to think of you. Now you're disregarding me. And so even, Lord, we can get past this, but now we have not just your initial thing that we had to do. Now we have to deal with rebuilding, or now we got to deal with this. You know what I mean? And so, just human nature, we cause ourselves more problems a lot of times.
That's it. Okay, pick up Jesus's yoke. He is, man, he giving it freely and it is light. Okay, so put your burdens down. Put, what's that song? Put, lay your burdens down. Okay, so yeah. That's what you do when they say I need to get this off my chest. Okay, that's why I say that it's a burden when you hold stuff in, when you in your head and you no. So
It's
lay
heavy.
your burden down. It's light. Okay, just make it light. All right, and with uh, such a great show. So I hope we were able to help y'all with something tonight. All right, and just stay open, not just open to communicating and expressing yourself, but open to receiving the expression of others. And that is how communication works. It is definitely a multi-lane, multi-directional highway. Okay, because the less restrictions you put on communication, the freer it is. Like, somebody might send you a flower, and the flower might mean something. You might not even know exactly, but you're gonna enjoy getting the flower. Like, we communicate in a lot of different ways. So when you are open to receive communication, however it shows up, you can understand a lot more about the people that you are dealing with, and not just the one facet of how you perceive them or how someone told you they were or whatever. Like, you really get to see them as the whole beautiful person that they were created to be. And that is definitely a little bitty window into their heart, because we will never be able to know anyone's heart the way God does. And we can only hope to get that little piece. And the more you are open to receiving them as they are, the closer you can get to that. So we're gonna wrap it up, because I know Erica probably gotta go. Thanks, sis, for working on the ones and twos in the back. She was like, I just got a text and said I need to be here, so I'm here. And that's how we work in the kingdom. All right. When we show up, somebody gonna know what to do. And if we don't, we're gonna figure it out. All right. So we here. Okay. Ah! So we gonna close it on out, and definitely tune in to what we have for you for the rest of the week. We got Rock True Queens tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central. That's Central time, right? Eastern 7. Friday, Rock Truth, or straight Rock Truth. Okay, Rock Truth Radio. On Friday at 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern. We cooking it up for you on Saturday afternoon at noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll be doing quinoa bowls. Oh, this is gonna be good right here. And then later that evening, we have Rock Bottom with Queen Shayna Gadine at, I believe that's 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour later.
I'll be because I'm Eastern.
I know that's what I'm saying. The time difference throws me off, but I believe it's 6. If not, it's 7. But definitely, if you if you sign up on our Facebook pages, we all have groups for all of these shows. You will get notified when we go live, so you don't miss that. If you watching us on YouTube, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when we go live, because we rocking truth, and we definitely love when people come in and comment. Thank you, Princess Danye, for tuning in. Thank you, BZ and Z Radio, for visiting, and we can't wait to have you back. And he goes live Thursdays after Rock True Queens, so that's at 8 p.m. my time, so that's Eastern, right? Eastern, and then 7 p.m. Central. So yeah, so definitely tune in, because we are out here to grow together and get right in the kingdom. All right. So Rock Truth or nothing at all.
See y'all.